So, for the record, can you tell us your name and the library? And as I kind of hinted at, you might go into just your kind of history with the Lyndon Carnegie Library.
Sure. Well, I'm Genea Reynolds, and I'm the director of the Lyndon Carnegie Library. And um, my experience, I love this library. The first time I seen it, because it's old. Sarah had it remodeled, but she kept the oldness of it. She wouldn't let them take the pillars, and so it's just a beautiful library. It's what I experienced as a kid growing up. It's this type of library, and so I kind of like that I'm working in the old library, not the new modern. But I live in Carbondale. I don't live in Linden. Kind of wish I lived in Linden. So I drive back and forth to work every day. But it's been a dream of mine to be a librarian for well, I've been here 6 years. So more than that, went back to school, and my kids were just too little. So I finished up my associates. I have a lot to where I could probably get a bachelor's and not too much more schooling. Um, I had Alice as my mentor, Smith, when she worked in Carbondale, and she took me under her wing, knowing I wanted to be a director someday, and showed me the ropes, had me fill in for her, invited me to conferences. So she found the job when Sarah was retiring. She said, "You need to put in for it." I got lucky. They went with my community. So, I worked in the public with medical for years. So that's what they went by. So that's how I got in here. And I've been here 6 years. This starts my 7th year in January. So I'm I love it here.
It's awesome. I liked how you were sharing that last week at our Directors Institute about how Alice kind of had filled a mentor role for
Yeah.
you, and good person to have on your side. She
Oh,
certainly knew the
she
system
is.
well. She'd been on our executive board, and as you all know, probably, she is now with the State Library of Kansas. And unfortunately for her, she never got to be at the library as the director in Carbondale as they were moving into that new big space. So,
Yes, she's a big, big part of it. I served on the board when they were doing
right,
all of it too. So it's a beautiful library.
it sure is. Okay. So, you from Carbondale, what can you tell us about Linden, Kansas?
Well, Linden, I think it's a very quaint. We're about 1100 in Linden, and um, they the businesses here. What impressed me was that they support the library with funding, and it just amazes me how much they donate for our summer reading program, and that they keep donating. I mean, it slowed down a little during COVID, but that was understandable. I mean, everybody did. But yeah, they're very supportive, and they have football and volleyball and baseball, softball, all the sports. And I love it here and hope to someday move down here. So
Yeah, I was going to ask, and I don't think we'll come up with this later, but can you tell us about who some of these strong partners you have in the
well,
city or around?
the the Pride, we kind of combine on that one. But Carla Sloop, she's the realtor in town, and she supports us. And um, oh gosh, every business here gives us at least usually $100. Like the banks, both banks are big supporters, Linden and Citizens. And the little restaurants in town, they give us coupons and support that way. And let's see who else. Bolts Insurance, and the Hannah's Garage gives us money and supports. Now the rec, Linden's Rec, they don't just support the baseball, volleyball, all that. they give us they pay for the biggest program, most costly program every year. And it helps out so much because we can bring in people that we may not normally get to bring in. So they support them, and um, the Darwimple supports us and pays for programming. So we get to have a lot more, in my opinion, programs, because we get the businesses also, they'll do a $200 program, and because I give them a choice in the letter we send out, they can either sponsor whatever programs, or they can sponsor by funding monetary, and they come through every year.
For those of you who haven't been to Linden, it is right on Highway 75, which is just south of Topeka. So it's kind of a little bit of a gateway to the
The
Melbourne
lakes.
Lakes. There's three lakes in that general area. I think counting Pomona, probably.
Pomona, there's Pomona and Melbourne, the big lakes, and then
Mhm.
um, Clinton Lake, it would be, more towards Lawrence. But we had
Yeah,
the biggest is Melbourne, Melbourne and Pomona.
cool.
And both those communities don't have well, Pomona does, but
Hmm.
um, Vassar, which sits on the lake, and Melbourne, the town of Melbourne, don't have libraries. And so their kids come here when they can.
Gotcha. Yep. My friend loves to fish at Pomona Lake. He's got a farm not too far from there, but that's his spot. He loves to go there, and he catches a lot. All right, well, let's move on. Can you describe how your library operates? And as I kind of hinted to you, we're looking at, give us an idea of the staffing, the board, hours, that kind of stuff.
Well, we're here. We kind of changed our hours up after COVID because we got so busy during the week. So we kind of took Friday. We were slow on Fridays, so we do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We do 9 to 1, and then we take an hour for lunch, from 1 to 2, and then we're open 2 to 6, those 4 days. Closed on Friday, and then we're open 9 to noon on Saturdays. And I have 3 librarian staff. I have me, and then Sharon, who is the librarian here, and she works the front desk. And then she's with me Monday through Thursday. She's off in the afternoons on Thursday. And then Saturdays is Rebecca. She's our Saturday person, and she fills in and helps do the children. When I have story times, she likes to do the story time. And so she does that. And then I have a volunteer, Linda, who comes in on Tuesdays and does shelving and whatever we need her to do. And then we have a housekeeper, Randy, and I do have other volunteers as students every once in a while. They come in and do help with shelving or whatever we need them to do. But mainly it's just us, and we're a township library, so we get our funding from taxes, and the township gives our money. And there's 3 members of our township, and this last year they are all new. The ones before them were on the township board for 20 plus years. So these guys are all new, and they've been pretty, right now they're thinking, they've told us that next year, if we want, they'll put us in for a mill levy rate. So we haven't had one for a long time. And let's see, what else was I going to tell you? Oh, and then we have the board, and I have 6 on our board, and they are they're great. I've worked with other boards, but these guys are great. They are very responsive to my ideas and give me pretty much the rope to grow and do what I need. And so that's, I think, how I've got to grow and do so much here is they're made up of teachers, and one works at the bank, one is works for insurance, and some have kids that come here, and so they're just great. They're awesome.
Good. I'm glad
Yeah.
to hear that you're continuing to have a strong board and that mill levy increase is very positive too. Awesome.
Yes, yes, because
Um,
yeah, things change and then we get things put on us. And the only thing we can say is the township, they own the building, and that's about all they want to do. So we've been taking on some more things like insurance. So they're saying that they would rather up the mill levy and the library carry those things. And I'm all for it, if as long as we have the funding.
yep. I just want to, I don't think I said this before, to those of you who are viewing today, thanks again for being here. Feel free if you want to ask Gina a question, you can interrupt us with your unmuting yourself or just put it in the chat and I'll try to keep an eye on that. And before we wrap up today, we will stop to see if there's any questions. We're only 30 minutes today, so we're already about halfway through this program. Not so tough, is it, Gina? Not so bad.
Nope.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the space. As we said, it is a Carnegie Library. You were already kind of talking about how much you actually like the age of the building and the history. Can you share a little bit with us about that history, about what you know? I know the website has a good archive of that information. And then the last thing, just about how that space works and might not work for your needs.
Well, we were built in 1910, and um, we are still the same space. The only thing that's really became library usage is the basement. They didn't have a lot down there when they first opened. It was more program space, and they had to do they had leakage down there, and they did a complete remodel down there. I think it was in the 80s. And so that whole area downstairs is the same size as our library up here. And it's all kids, every bit of it. And it's crowded. um, the upstairs, the thing about the Carnegie Library and the small of it is we don't have a lot of storage. So, because we have 3,000 square feet up here, it's a dream of the boards and Sharon's and I is to maybe build on, but it is on the historical register. So Sarah got that done. And so it's going to take a little bit to be able to do that, but to bring up the kids upstairs and then have that as back to being just a program room. So the thing that impressed me the most other when I started here was that this library's only had 6 librarian directors, and they have worked here a long time. The first 2 that worked in 1910, they didn't stay very long. And then the third one, she was here for 57 years as a library director, or, the library director. And then Sharon, as assistant or librarian and not being the director, she's been here almost 30, or she's at 30. I got to look at that again. And then Sarah, who I took over for, was here 37 years. And there was one, I think, in between Sarah and the one that had been here for 57. And they've had assistants or part-timers that were in here. But yeah, I was just to have a library and have that many, and you've been open since 1910. So it's
Yeah,
pretty
that's
crazy.
wild. I mean, I've been with Neckles for a decade, and we have some libraries who are maybe on their sixth library director just in that 11, 12 years. So to be able to have that lineage of being able to count on one hand, basically, how many directors there have been in 100+ years is pretty amazing.
And they love the library. Sarah, she did all the remodeling. She got the grants to do in 1980 to stop the leaking and that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's had a lot of stuff. Since I've started, I've changed out all the lighting to LED lighting so that we could have it brighter in here. And that's a major change that I did. So, but
Helps having that electrician husband, huh?
yeah, and then we put the bid out, and his office happened to have the right bid, so they came in and did it. And yeah, it's nice, and he comes and gets to do some of it and stuff. So yes, it is nice. So
All right,
except
well,
for the
let's
part
keep.
when you have outlets in places that, that's the biggest thing in this library. We have outlets in weird places, and there happens to be one under my desk on the floor. And I came in and nothing was working on my desk. So Sharon and I did everything we could think of to figure it out. And so I called the office, and it happened to be my husband that called me back, and he's like, "Well, what's up?" And I'm like, "I don't have power." And he's like, "Well, go check the outlet, the breaker." And I did. And he goes, "All right, I'll be on my way down. They're sending me." It was a GFI switch on the floor. And he's like, "I don't even remember that being there. I don't know why it's there. I got charged $100 to push a button that I could have pushed." So
Ouch.
yeah, doing the electricity in this building, it's crazy.
Yep.
So,
Jack?
but
Yeah, I was just going to ask. It's really impressive that you got the modern technology to work in a Carnegie building. That must be a challenge. But do you have accessibility issues at all?
we did, the floor the ceiling downstairs is suspended. So they can get access that way. So when I called, and were able to put me 2 outlets in the room I'm in now on the floor, because before there's one on the floor, but we were stringing, it's like a one that's been here a long time. So if somebody wanted to use a laptop, they had to string it across, and then it was a hazard. So they were able to put those 2 in pretty easy. Now we're having them, hopefully by the first of the year, put in outlets on the pillars downstairs, because that's the worst. The basement, there is no outlets, easy access at all. They're all behind shelving, under the computers. The basement's horrible for outlets.
Yeah. Gina, can you talk a little bit just about some of the struggles do you have any patrons who need to use a wheelchair? Do you have to make accommodations for that? Because I'm thinking your main floor is only accessed by stairs, right? And
Well,
the
we have
basement
the
can be,
ramp. We do have a
okay,
ramp out back, but it's not, when they built it, I don't think it was built. Maybe back then that's how it was built, but to get up it, it's a pretty
it's
grade.
pretty steep.
Yeah, and then when you come in the door, you couldn't really turn. We have a hard time getting carts and stuff in here. I think a wheelchair would have a hard time getting in. Downstairs, the only time I've really had a wheelchair come in is during an adult program, and she had an electric wheelchair. The bathroom downstairs is bigger, so she was able, no problems at all. But up here, I don't think they could get in the bathroom. And when I first started, we had a gentleman that used an electric cart, and he couldn't bring it in the library because it couldn't come in. So he had to park it by the ramp and walk up. And yeah, that's a big issue.
Yeah, it's tight spaces there for sure. You don't have a lot of elbow room at the Lyndon Library.
No.
But but to your credit, you really try to make it work. All right, let's talk about some of this fun stuff because we've got some photos and only about 10 minutes. So let's mosey through here. So the question is, like many libraries, you applied and received for some grants. And can you tell us about how you used those funds? And I'm gonna just kind of click through here. So yeah, here's our article from the Osage County Herald Chronicle.
We
So this was grant money, right?
Yes, I applied and got the IMLS and State of Kansas outdoor project for programming, and I ran with it. And we were able to do with that grant, we were able to buy the gazebo and the picnic tables, the rocking chairs, games for the outdoors. We were able to buy umbrellas for the tables we already had, an outdoor heater, a movie screen projection, and benches, because we had started having outdoor programming during COVID, but we didn't have any benches for any adults to sit on, and it was hard. And so, and then Nichols, they had funding for us, and we gave us the cement pad. So we were able to cement it all in. My parents Mr. and Mrs. Mai and the Citizen State Bank gave us money to run electricity out to the gazebo. So there's lights and a fan out there and we can use it. So we do all our programming out there. We try all summer we did when it wasn't extremely hot. It was so much fun. The kid, you can be messy and, it's easier to clean up and just being outdoors, and we love it. And we continue to do it, and it just made it a lot easier. So we got that one. And so that has done. Now, the flowers you see here, that wasn't a grant, but we had Susan Raby out of Carbondale has always done the flower at the park. And I asked her to help me because it needed, our entryway just needed some dulling up. And she came and she took it over and she did her time. She didn't charge us for the plants. She bought all the plants and they're all perennials and both sides are full. And she did all that with help taking the rock off one of our patrons. He helps us out a lot. He helped her with that. And the rock, the 4-H took it. They come out and took it, and then the Gillians took it off away for us. So it's just been a work in progress. Our this here is our downstairs is a retaining wall going into the basement, and we just chalked on it, but I had money left over and from memorial funding, and we asked a local artist if she could do it for us, and she asked us what we would like. So it was, we didn't break any rules, and so we told her our kind of favorite books that we had when we were younger, and she went with it, and it is amazing.
Yeah.
So, and we did that.
Yeah, we had some comments just in chat, and I know we're going to run out of time fast because I took too long at the beginning. So people were saying in chat, Kate and Carrie, we're loving the outdoor space. And I'll just say, because they're so small on the inside, it makes so much sense for you guys to really just embrace the outside. You guys really push the library out way past the front door, which is awesome. You're really hunkering down on your property.
Yeah, we don't have any seating in here upstairs, like, chairs to sit in. We have a table and that's it. So
yeah.
With the rocking chairs outside, and then the story walk.
Yeah, so yeah, we can see that in the background a little bit on the right of your screen. So
that was all grant money.
It goes around the property, and I'm going to advance so that you can see a couple more pictures of people using. What do you call your story walk? Do you call it something else?
Call it Path of Pages. It got the most votes on what they wanted to hear it, and it is a permanent, so it doesn't come up. It's in the ground, and we changed it out. I was doing this at the last minute, the grant, and I thought, I want story walks. There was a teacher that she had an idea and we kind of ran with it. I ordered 40. And yes, 40, I was crazy. And so we put 15, we were going to put all 40 at the trail. And we decided that 15 would be really nice to have at the library. We have a sidewalk that goes all the way around, but we did it on the back sidewalk. And then we have 25 more to put at the trail. We've got approval, and they're going to go in on the 29th of October. We've had real issues trying to find volunteers to help us put them in, and I did hire the holes drilled because I didn't want anybody to have to do that. So hopefully, if no snow or no rain, they will be in the trail on the 29th. So it's what we're hoping.
Yeah, those are cool. And I like that the size of them also allows you to put the pages, but then sometimes you have some other kind of materials that go along with it. Like, I think it was the squid story.
We did the story, and then I had a nonfiction book about oceans and stuff, and we put those on top of the pages.
So yeah, that was neat. Let's go ahead. We probably only have time, Gina, to talk about your programming, which is great because we've got photos that kind of go along with it. So you have an ongoing commitment to providing after-school programs for older kids, and then regular story times we were talking about for the little kids, and then also, you don't leave the adults out. So, could you just talk a little bit about your commitment to these programs as we
Well,
finish up today?
it when I came to the library, there wasn't, other than summer reading, there wasn't a lot of kids coming. And one of the things they asked me when they hired me if I was willing to do some programming, I'm like, yes. And so I took it on, and we started out pretty small. And but we've grown. And last year we had 20 kids coming Wednesdays after school. This year we're down, we were 5, now we're back up to 10. But here they're doing Alcohol Inc. That is their favorite thing to do. And I'll be presenting a program at KLA on that,
Oh, cool.
on Alcohol Inc. So, but it's just, I give them the supplies, and I get them from garage sales. Like Michael's has sales at the end of each season. I'll get stuff from really at pennies on the dollar, and try to find things that'll last. Like this Alcohol Inc., it lasts forever, and we've done program after program on it. But I just give them the supplies, and then I say, here's an idea, have at it. And last year, it's only supposed to be 4th through 6th, but no, it never stays that way. We've had second graders that are just as creative. This here is they're packing peanuts. I did the corn stem program, and I learned about these, and the kids love them, and they are amazing. If you haven't tried it, you should. They you buy them in a great big pack from Amazon. They stick to each other by just barely tapping them on a dampened paper towel, and then you can make 3D, you can make flat. It's just amazing, and all
Neat.
the ages love them. I mean, these here are kids that are 3 and 4, and I think there's a second grader in there, but they all love them, clear up to the 4th and 5th graders. But so I try to do a craft. In this last 2 years, starting last summer, we found out that the Frontier Extension Office will come and do programs for us. So they're doing programs. The museum did programs this summer for us. And then this is Alcohol Inc., a different technique, and that I did it with the adults. So we all like adults, we've done macrame. Adults, I like to get the community crafters to come and do the programs. They seem a little more, the kids love me. I can do kid programs, but the adult programs, I did this one because Alcohol Inc.'s my thing, but I like to get the community involved, and they come and do the adults.
Neat. Um, Anna was just asking about what that the cornstarch packing peanuts. What is that all called?
Oh gosh, I'll have to get that and let you know. If you look, because you have to go and just look at packing peanuts on
Okay.
Amazon, and it'll come up, and it's the color ones, and they're biodegradable. You
Hmm.
put them in water, they're gone. I mean, they'll dissolve to nothing. We've done experiments on it. So usually I just look up packing peanuts on there, and then they come in different sizes. The best size is the smaller ones because you get more, and the kids
Hmm.
will use all of them.
Nice tip. So Kate was just curious about this adult program. Can you just talk a little bit about what was going on here? I think you said that we have on the tiles that it's the alcohol ink I can see
Right.
on the tiles, and then it
On
looks
the
like they're
tiles, that's what I usually do with the kids, and with the adults. We start out on the tiles so that you can get a feel for it. I
uh-huh.
mean, you can spray it with just rubbing alcohol, and it'll come right off. The pots, we painted them with just like acrylic, or actually we went and got a quart of paint, and Sharon painted them all white.
Mm,
And then you take the alcohol ink and you put it on a piece of saran wrap, and then you bring it up and you just pat it, and then you pull the saran wrap off, and you're done.
neat.
And that's what comes of it. So you can,
Cool.
there's so much you can do with alcohol ink and different techniques. I like to paint with it, and fall scenes and stuff, and Yeah. Now this, I don't know on this kind that it would have came off with alcohol ink if you messed up. But the
Okay.
tiles, they're so forgiving. You can mess
Yeah.
up and not like it and wipe it back off.
Did you say that was, and we're just finishing up here, folks, so thanks for sticking with us. Did you say that was an acrylic white paint that Sharon used on those?
We have used acrylic, but no, that the one she used there was actually, we went to the store and got a satin finish quart of white paint.
Okay,
And she
so like a
painted.
latex paint that
Yeah,
you would
and
use.
we were gonna spray paint them, but that was just
Mhm.
not gonna,
You
that's
probably
what my
go through
friend,
a lot of cans of spray paint with
yeah.
this, how porous all of that is. So I think you guys made a wise choice. I just love the bright colors in this picture on the bottom right here on my screen with the oranges. And so those tiles are really neat. I know Anna Foote likes to make those too.
Oh,
All
they're
right. Well,
so
that's, I
fun.
think, all of our photos. We did have some more questions we didn't get a chance to get to. I'm sorry about that. Um, Anything we didn't get to talk to that you'd really want people to hear about before we adjourn
Um,
today?
just if you have a chance to go to a conference, go put
Yeah.
in for the Nichols grant. They paid for 2 conferences this year for me to go. And there's so much to learn on conferences, and they're fun, and just go. I haven't been turned down from Nichols, and Mike says they have the money. So
Yeah.
they're fun to do, and you learn a lot, and you don't have to pay a lot. So
Yep. So, and if
that's,
you're not in the Neckles region, you might check with your regional system to see if they can get you some CE grants. That's what Gina's talking about, because we can get people. Yeah, Kate's saying she's going to see it at KLA. So, yeah, thanks for pushing for that, Gina. You're a great spokesperson for those conferences. I
oh,
like how
no
you're talking about
problem.
Alice kind of took you along, and now you're shepherding others to there too. So, all right. Well, thanks, folks, for joining us. If any of you would be interested in sitting through this interview process of 30 minutes to get your story out there, I'd really love to hear from you. I don't have anybody lined up, so I'm going to have to start working on that. But thanks again, Gina, for joining us. And I hope you all had a
Thank you
good
for
time learning
coming.
more about the Lyndon Carnegie Library.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, you bet. We'll see you all later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.